Well, this doesn't look like Lego.
Definitely not Lego, but we're on a project today.
Very Lego related.
Yes, we are going to build some tables. We have one in the process in the back there. Started on that a couple months ago, as far as I got. Today we're building Joe some. We'll actually finish them tonight.
And since I brought it up, it's the perfect opportunity to get him to finish the table.
Exactly.
That's right, we're winning tonight.
Exactly, so win-win. To start the project off, list of tools that you don't necessarily have to have, but it comes in very nice. We'll start off with the basics. There's the skill saw right there. You can do most of the stuff with the skill saw.
Oh, sorry. Don't play around with
including zombie apocalypse and all that, as long as you don't run out of the electric cord.
That's a little close for comfort.
It is.
The zombies.
But there's that. If you got a table saw, that's great.
But not needed.
Not needed.
For my project, not too long ago, some other stuff I was working on, I skipped the table saw completely, went with the skill saw.
Yeah.
It worked.
Same thing with the 2x4s. You can definitely use the skill saw, not a problem. What we're using is table saw. Obviously, you got to have a good tape measure, good pencil.
Don't let people mess with you. I have a tape measure at home where this broke off, and so I put some screws in, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 inches in or whatnot. So I always have the wrong measurement if I use that one.
Yeah. You want a good one?
Yeah.
Don't use that. I always like some sawhorses. Not necessary, but I like them.
They come in handy on the back side of like the table saw, for example. So
catching your wood, things like that, especially if you're doing it by yourself. So, I like to sand everything down, especially afterwards. So some sort of sander. Doesn't have to be anything special, even just by hand is great. I like to just get the slivers off. A drill, you need at least one drill. I've just got the drill to show you, then obviously the bit for your screws. I like to use a countersink, so that way your wood doesn't blow out.
I also have countersink bits that have the drill bit built into the countersink bit.
Yep.
So you can just do one punch through.
Yep. I like to pre-drill most of my holes, so you want a drill bit a little bit smaller than the screw itself, so that way you're not,
That's something to grab onto.
yeah, you're not just drilling it out. Then, got a miter saw back here for the 2x4s. That's what I'm using. But once again, you just need a skill saw.
Yeah.
So that's about it. And just a workspace.
No hand saws? You don't
No
mind?
hand saws. No hand
Alright.
saws. I recommend glasses though. Safety. I mean, some people, are missing fingers, but whatever.
I'm good.
So,
What do they do, like in middle school or something like that?
there you go.
I'm good.
So,
Yeah.
yep.
That's a disclaimer, right? Safety glasses,
Safety
gloves,
glasses.
maybe gloves, maybe.
I wouldn't do gloves.
No. Oh no, that's right, because they can get caught.
Yeah. Gloves, all that stuff.
I'm trying to think back to high school. Wood shop teacher.
The one that missing all the fingers?
Yeah, don't.
Yeah. Don't follow him.
Ladies tie her hair up in a bun or something.
True.
But yeah.
No ties.
Yeah, no ties.
No ties. Don't do ties.
Don't start working in a shop after church or something.
Yeah.
So.
For sure. So.
Other than that, now that we've knocked out what you need, as seen on the screen here, and the obligatory don't hurt yourself.
We're off and going. So.
All right, let's do this.
Welcome to tonight, and let's get this done. So, just hooking up the miter saw here, getting it ready. We are going to use the miter saw, which you can use just a skill saw if you got it, with a square. Very easy to do. I just happen to have a miter saw, so we're going to use that for the outside of the table, and also I'm going to make some legs with it. So we're just getting ready to rip the first step is we want to cut the top of the boards first, tabletops. So we're just going to use the table saw. Obviously you can still use a skill saw for that also, but we're just going to cut a couple boards, a couple of sheets of plywood, and we're going to make 3 tables. I don't know if we'll get them all done tonight, but we're going to start that. first.
Now, one of the things that you may have noticed a little bit different is this is not the same type of wood as this one. And that's perfectly fine. Your table is not going to be seen by the public because it's going to have Lego all over it. They didn't come to look at wood. So it doesn't matter what you're using as long as it's a nice surface. For example, this one has a smooth side and a rougher side. It's your choice. I'm going to use the smoother side up top just so my Lego slides a little bit smoother. That was noisy. But this wood, you don't really have to worry about that because it's pre-sanded on both sides. So, your choice.
Hey Joe, would you mind helping me cut this?
I wouldn't mind at all. Let's do it. Now that we've knocked out cutting the board that our Lego is going to sit on top of, we need to figure out how we can support it. And that comes in a couple different varieties. So I'm going to start off with an adjustable leg on this one, which is Brad's table, so that when he goes to different shows, different locations throughout the country, he can take this and move it to different heights. That's why he's chosen the 2x4 here. He gets a lot more support on his legs, which is going to go in the corner, and more spacing for holes to go inside, bolts, etc. You can see here I've got a 2x3. One of the reasons I chose a 2x3, it's like 30 cents cheaper, so it's not really the reason, but it also reduces weight of the whole thing. My particular table is not going to have legs, and is going to be clamped in from the sides as part of our lug. Our lug uses 2x3s, and so that makes it a lot easier to get a clamp around the bottom to be able to hold it in place. It's going to be the exact same as what you're seeing here, just with 2x3s instead of 2x4s. Also, pretty standard, pretty straightforward. We're going to cut the long side first, give as much stability this way as possible, and then we're going to come in and measure the inside. Just like we were talking about with the screws, they're going to go in the sides here, as well from the top. And that's an anatomy lesson of a Lego table. Pretty simple. Let's get to cutting some more wood. I'm cutting some wood!
Uh-oh. Was that an accident?
You messed with my tape. I talked about this. You messed with my tape measure, didn't you?
There's no mistakes, just happy little accidents.
You're right. We're good. We're good.
All right, so right now I'm cutting the side pieces for my little table. I'm making a little 30 by 30 along with Joe's 30 by 60. So I'm cutting side pieces right now, my 30 inches. 30 inches. All right, so one of the things that everybody talks about and you should know is Lego isn't standard imperial dimensions, it's metric, okay? So even though everybody says this is 10 inches, it's not quite 10 inches. So when we cut a table, we just found out, when we cut this 30 by 30, which is actually 9 base plates, instead of being 30 inches by 30, it's actually more like 30 and an eighth by 30 and an eighth. You can actually see right here, this is 30 and an eighth, this is 30. So you can see the difference. It's a little bit off, so we're just gonna have to adjust for that. Once again, there's no mistakes, just happy little things happening here. Okay, at this point, after 3 trips to Home Depot, a whole bunch of 2x4s, we finally got the right sides cut. We know what's going on now, so we're on top of it. We're getting ready to drill and I guess toe in whatever you want to call it. If you've got a clamp, it comes in handy, especially when the cameraman can't help you and you're doing this. I always like to pre-drill. Try and grab some long screws so that we can get through there so you can get to where it will hold fairly decent on you, it won't break. These are just drywall screws, just really long drywall screws. Okay. I like to pre-drill just enough to get through the 2x4, the first one. And I like to do a little countersink. Be sunk down a little bit, won't catch on anything.
All right, we've got everything as far as the framework done. Brad's 30x30 is actually completely done. Part of the time lapse, we went ahead and jumped to the 30x60 framework being done. And now we're to the part that you haven't seen yet, where we're using these much smaller screws. These are 1 inch, and these look like they are actually outdoor, but you can use just some 1 inch drywall screws. My personal preference is the coarse thread, and that's just a state of mind for me. They have fine thread and coarse thread. For me, it just feels like you get more bite into the wood with the coarse thread, so that's why it's my preference. But 1 inch is going to be plenty for going through your plywood and grabbing onto the framework underneath. So we're going to go through about every foot, maybe 1.5 feet, something like that, and countersink all the screws going around this. One note with it is that we're only going to do one side, undo the clamp, etc., readjust and do the other side. Normally, I mean, it's a normal thing to not be perfectly square when you get your framework done. So let's move on to that. And I would say that countersinking on this part of it is probably one of your most important spots to get countersunk. Just because it's going to be all of your Legos sliding across it, and you could put the screw directly into without countersinking at first. You risk, the wood does this little, when you put the screw in and my hands go like this, it's going to push the wood in a little bit, but you've also got outside of it that wants to pop up. And so that's why counter set bits are really handy, so you don't have to deal with any of that. As we're building this, I want to give a little bit of a shout out to some of the guys up in Idaho. Their STEM team. Well, yeah, it's not like a STEM team directly with iLog, but ooh, that one is really far. They, Zach and what's his name? Oh, I missed one. That's what I get for talking while I'm working on stuff. Zach and his brother or cousin, something like that. They have some really cool tables that, I'll see if I can find some pictures and whatnot, but the tables have a notch in them. And so they slide into each other, and then they put, I believe, a bolt with a wing nut on them and holds it together that way. They're not designed as train tables, where train tables we want to be nice and perfectly flat as we transition between the two tables. Otherwise your trains are, doing little jumps on the, around the loop. But if you're looking for something that's really handy, STEM projects, one thing that they do is they design them that way so they can flip them over, and whatever they're working on is contained in that space. And they just bolt together to make it as big as they want. But yeah, pretty slick. Another option if you're looking for a table just to throw some Lego on. All right, now that we've got all the screws in the top, everything is either flush or just below. My fingers aren't catching on anything, so I don't have to worry about the Lego catching on anything. One important part to do is you kind of get some edges along here that is part of the cutting process, not a big deal. Really helps to sand it down. So what I'm going to do now is go ahead and do some sanding on this and get that taken care of. So just pull this out and here we go. not the sander.
Maybe the wrong tool?
Dang it.
Okay, so we had to take tools away from Joe. What can I say? We are off to sanding now with the correct tool. Here we go. Okay, so we have completed 3 tabletops, 2 30 by 60s and a 30 by 30. Okay. Joe is not going to have legs on his. That one's not going to have the small 30 by 30 won't have legs, but this one will have legs because I want it to be usable for LGMS layouts for trains. I want it to be a drop table. I want to do several different things with this table. I want to be able to go to other shows and not have to worry about other people's tables and stuff like that, or whatever their height they are, because I can adjust. So, after consulting with Joe, he gave me a great idea. We're actually going to do a groove system. Now, we tested it, Joe did, as a leaning 500-pound kid twisting sideways. It snapped, but it took a lot of force. So I actually feel good about it. So we actually started cutting one up. Now this will actually give me, we're not all the way cut yet, but so far, you put that in there, and you figure the tabletop will sit on the top because this will be tucked underneath. So far I got 27.5 inches. Small, but we can actually make it smaller, which we're going to do. Clear up to, you probably don't want to go past that area. That's 32 right there, so 32.5. So we can adjust this table. I'll use clamps to actually hold it because we don't want to drill any more through the webbing or anything like that. So I'm just going to use a C-clamp underneath, a small one, and it actually is really super strong. The way it is. Then on the bottom of the actual foot, I will actually put an adjustable foot, just like that. And this has like 1.5 inches throw on it, and each one of these will adjust it 1 inch there. So that's more than plenty, and we can make this thing rock. Okay? We got 3 more sets to do and a set to finish, so let's get to it. First of all, I've got a special dado blade on the saw. It wobbles. So as it turns, it cuts the width. It's adjusted for 1/2 inch right now. Okay? Just like that. And then I'll make then as I move my fence over in 1 inch increments. So that way it'll make the 1/2 inch steps into each other. So that's about it. All right, let's get started. Okay, so we're in the final phases here, getting the legs on. This is where we're at. Taking the boards that we chopped, putting a radius on the ones that are fit into the table. So that way we can get our carriage bolts. They got more of a flat head. That's why they're counter bored a little bit right there. Now when I hit this bolt, it'll set more down inside. That's what it's made to do. Then you put the nut on there, put a lock nut on it so it can't back off. And then, just like that side. And that way, when it turns, it'll go all the way down and come back up without turning your nut. So we're doing that for all the sides. We got one more leg to go. And then obviously, Joe, he went ahead and put the feet on, the leveling feet. So these will be able to go on here, like so. We had these all matched up with the right numbers, but we cut the numbers off. There we go. And then we can just put, for reference sake, not this big, but I will get some small clamps. And voila. That way when you're at a show, you just measure the height, get it close enough. You can adjust to wherever you're at. Uneven floor, or you get up to someone's track or layout. There you go. Just like that. I am going to make one plywood frame, just a piece of plywood that goes across from side to side to help get rid of the side-to-side sway. That'll be the last thing this is going to be a small little thing put on there. So we're getting there. We're almost done. We'll have a picture for you here in just a minute. Okay, we made it to the end. We got it. We're gonna flip it over and see how stable it is.
Looking awesome so far.
So far.
I know that foot's a little bit at a different level, but we can adjust that real quick.
Yep.
The whole thing's really adjustable.
Actually, this one's worse, so we'll just adjust that really fast, like so.
Okay.
Okay, you ready?
Yep.
Do it.
Look at that. That is easily done. The feet here are on the outside of the whole thing. That way we have as much stability as possible. Right now we've got the big C-clamps on here just because, like Brad was saying earlier, he's got to get some smaller C-clamps that are going to be more travel friendly and all that fun stuff.
That right there, nice and stable. It's not gonna go anywhere. And you can adjust it to any floor, table, whatever, any height. I've always wanted to make one for my drop down. I've got a drop down module I want to make, so
You know what this means?
Should be fun.
Now you got to build more Lego to go on it.
Yeah, I know. I've actually bought a whole bunch just the other day. I got to start building now.
Sweet.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right.
Any clarification questions, etc.? You know where to put them.
Yeah, you probably have a lot on this project. So I know it wasn't Lego this time, but it's for Lego. So
right. Thanks for sticking around for the whole build. You guys are amazing. Awesome.
Yep. Thank you so much, and we'll talk to you later.